I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no, no! Are you listening?
Let's talk about some of you out there, your favorite subject, Lorne's death, causes, and what's going to happen between when he dies and when it's over completely with the after effects. Lorne is sick. You can look at his feet, the shape of his body, skin color. You can just look at the condition of his skin and the way he sounds. His theory of if I don't pay attention to it, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist if I do not acknowledge it. And I think with Lorne, that is how it is. I don't know if he goes to the doctor very much. He says that one time to Debbie, I think I might have skin cancer. No, we couldn't have been that lucky. Not diagnosed by a doctor, but by him. You've had friends that say, you may want to go get that checked out. Well, as soon as Mom told me, Aunt Sharon told me I needed to get it checked out, I knew I had it. I did wonder about him. I did wonder if he might actually have it. The dude spends all day out in the sun, and I do not believe my man would take care of himself and put sunblock on. Oh, I'll be fine. I get sunburn. I'm just going out there. You can see his tan lines all the time, and you can see that he has been sunburned quite a bit. That wife beater tan line, the putrid body hair he has that probably stinks, has food caked on it, sitting naked in his bed, eating watermelon. Gross. His body shape is just screaming, hey man, I'm prime candidate for a heart condition or a heart attack or a stroke. My prediction is stroke. I'm looking at this guy and I'm going off his past and what he's eaten, how he lives. I don't think it'll be a heart attack. I can't explain why. I just feel like it's going to be a stroke. Maybe because I've known somebody who took care of themselves in the same way, and the plaque off their teeth getting into their system, and all of the cholesterol and everything else. Lorne's only hope is that he was broken up where he could only eat food that wasn't high in trans fats or cholesterol, baloney. Other than that, though, I don't think he cares what he shoves in his body. All of those sweets. Now, I eat sweets from time to time, and I crave them, but I don't give in. Cookie wookie pie. Cookie wookie. Oh, God. Cookie whoopie pie. I didn't have it. Yeah, you did, Lorne. You shoved it in your face right before you called her. He doesn't crave life, as we've said, the finer things, travel. He doesn't want to do anything. He wants to do what Lorne wants to do, and what Lorne wants to do is just sit around. I think leaving Cornville might have been one of the hardest things he's ever done. And he wanted to go back instantly. Easy to navigate. Yeah, Westridge Road is isolated, but it's not exactly like you're running through New York when you go out into Cornville. You don't have to drive. Once you get there, you don't have to drive forever. It's a little bitty town. I actually think I might go there just to see. Just to see. And I thought about having a little bit of fun, but I'm not going to. I thought it would be funny to go around. You know how they got the boards at the grocery store and Walmart where you can post, guitar lessons free. A poster of, have you seen this man? On top of it in big letters. And then underneath it, avoid him at all costs. Now that would be a dick move, but I still think it'd be funny. We're talking about Lorne's death here. Lorne doesn't like hospitals. He would probably have a stroke, but he would love the attention. He might even, think about it, he might even try to call his catfish women back. I told you, there was something wrong with me, Winnie. I think I'm dying here. He might want to call them and say, guys, this is your fault. Look at what you did. Now hold it over your head. How'd you get involved with Emma? Lorne, I'm not catfishing you anymore. I don't care what you think. Yeah, but how'd you get involved with Emma? This shit fucking sucks. Ramona, you said you had a doctor friend. Can he take a look at me? He's not your fucking doctor. Doctor. The dude is in his 50s. So most of his aunts and uncles should be gone. He might have some cousins left. His brothers and sisters, I don't know who's still alive and who's not. Tony's not there, and Tony's wife sure as shit doesn't care about him. So who's left? Nobody. And that's part of the reason the catfish women were so appealing. I felt like somebody actually fucking cared about me. Now that's a deep, deep statement to make. I'm going to use a wrestling reference real quick. I hope Heelborn appreciates it. One of the best angles in wrestling ever was Owen Hart and Bret Hart, the two brothers. And Owen made a statement of, I never get any recognition. And I think that was true. I think that came from real life, how Owen actually felt. Stu, his dad, is legendary. Bret, popular, getting all the attention, kids screaming his name, giving them his glasses when he comes out. And here comes Owen, dressed similarly. He's a sibling. He's known primarily then as the brother of Bret Hart. Talented, charismatic, but not quite as much as Bret. And Bret's the one that's main eventing WrestleMania. And Bret this and Bret that. Bret that. I think they based the angle on real life. And Lorne saying, I felt like somebody cared about me. Pretty sure nobody's really cared about him. His Aunt Sharon tolerated him. Lorne's good at getting short-term care. He's good at people caring about him for small periods of time because he can snowball them. Snow job. Make them think that he's the one who was wronged until they find out all of the details. So he goes into the hospital. Who's going to care? Definitely not Roy. That's an inconvenience to Roy. I can actually hear Roy. Well, you get what you deserve. Let me know when you get home, Lorne. How's he going to get home from the hospital? Is Roy going to go pick him up? Maybe. Maybe it would be some kind of wake-up call for Roy. But I don't know if there's anybody alive that cares about Lorne enough to go visit him when he's in the hospital. And some of you may be right. It may be soon. I think when Lorne goes downhill, it's going to happen very, very fast. So he's going to go to the hospital. And my man might even need rehab. I don't think he's going to get physical therapy. If he has a stroke, I don't think he is. It's too much work. Unless there's a good-looking girl and she's doing the old, good job, Lorne. Wow, you're making progress. I have no idea about some kind of health insurance for him. I have no idea if he has any. Because I know for health insurance to pay for things like that, to pay for a large portion of it, some of the policies, you have to have rehab. You have to at least try to rehabilitate your injury or your event, or they just won't pay for it. They'll only pay for part of it. For future events, for future cardiac events, or things that are related to it. Lorne is probably so dumb that if he got life insurance, he would expect it to pay off for him somehow, that he was going to be able to spend it, that he could borrow from it. If Lorne had any kind of pension or retirement, he would have borrowed from it. And I know someone who borrowed from their pension or retirement, that's what it was called. Now they have to work until they die because they did it. Lorne's a short-term thinker. It's my money and I need it now. Sidebar, I've often wondered if he would try some kind of scam. I got injured on the job. The reason I'm like this is because I was working at a place and that's the reason I'm sick, or that's the reason I had a heart attack, or that's the reason I had a stroke. It won't be his lifestyle. That will be the reason. But who would care? Who would come to the hospital to help him fill out paperwork? To help him in general? I don't think anybody else living in his family is going to want to deal with that. Lorne's neediness and how much he would expect them to do, I think it would be a whole lot. I think he would expect them to do everything for him. He'd do stuff, just look, I'm trying to do stuff. Oh, I can't do it. They'd do a little bit. And Lorne would just keep stretching it out, and they'd end up doing the bulk of it. If he had to go to rehab, if he had to take care of himself, unless somebody's there to hold his hand and push him, he's not going to. And he's going to just go downhill very fast. If you've had a stroke, you're likely to have another one. And Lorne's stroke is not going to be just a little one. It's going to be a big one. That's my opinion. Just looking at the guy. But who's going to help him? Who's going to take care of him? Nobody. He can't stay in the hospital forever because he can't afford it. He can't go to some kind of nursing home because he can't afford it. He's going to be at his trailer. This is really sad. He'll be at his trailer, and maybe every once in a while, Roy might come around to help. They'll put him in a wheelchair. He'll wheel himself around. He's got those stairs. He's going to need to have ADA stairs. You know, those, or the ramp, sorry. He's going to need to have the ramp. If he wants to get in the car, which he would probably try to drive with a stroke, somehow get himself in his truck. I just don't know. That is a scary thought for somebody, to be in the hospital with nobody who cares about you. He has no children. If he did, he would have had children young, likely. Those kids might be old enough where they could help Dad, but he doesn't have any kids. So Lorne, back at home, all of that, has another stroke and has to go back in the hospital with outstanding medical bills. I mean, the dude's like $100,000 or something dollars in debt, constantly negative in his checking account. His whole, I'm going to sell stuff at the yard sale, that's how I make some money. Once a year, I'll put this back for cigarettes. And when he eventually kicks the bucket, who's going to be there? Will his siblings, as he says, will they come back? Will they bother to come back? Will they pay that amount of money that it's going to cost maybe to fly back there or drive back there? No, they're not going to want to stay in that shithole. They're going to want to get a motel. Dealing with someone's death is not, who's going to pay the expenses for his headstone, for them to take care of it, who would take care of his body? Who's going to pay that? No one. No one is going to pay that. And I don't know, I didn't look it up in Maine of how they take care of bodies. That he's not even a member of a church that could potentially step up and help him. He's not even a member of a church. I think what a lot of us are afraid of is that we'll be forgotten. That we didn't make a mark on someone. We didn't leave a legacy. There will be no Lorne legacy. There was never a Lorne supremacy. There might have been a Lorne identity, and I'm not talking about the streamer. I mean, Lorne had an identity. He was somebody. I mean, he was a guy. And I said it before, we are his legacy. The most revenge, the biggest revenge we could have on Lorne, and we won't do it, but be when he died, remove all videos from the internet. Just take down any reference to his name and just let it die with him. That would be hell for him. Nobody talking about him, nobody mentioning him, nobody to blame. Even in death, his presence would loom like a specter over his family. You know how it is when people die. All of a sudden, people who they warred with, they couldn't stand, come out, Lorne, he may have had his issues, but deep down, I think he was a good guy. If you have to say deep down about somebody, you know the deal. You know they were not. Lady at work was terrorized her employee. Terrorized. It was bad. That employee had cancer. She gave that employee shit so much, and when that employee died, here was this terrible woman crying, making it all about her. I know we had our differences, but she was such a good person. He was such a good person, and I'm devastated. Piss off. So who would be there? Who's going to speak at his funeral, if he even has one? I mean, they'd probably be like, "Hey, Roy, we're just calling. Hey, how's Lorne's thing? How was the service?" Roy, "Shit, I don't know. I wasn't even there. I don't even know when it was." Well, who took care of his body? The coroner. How long would it take before someone realized Lorne was gone? That he was dead? Because with his antics now with catfish women, he'll hang up and go a few days. Because I think he learned that from Debbie. 3 days, not a word. Just seems unlike you. Just seems exactly like her, Lorne. How long would it take for somebody to... He doesn't have a regular job. People who care about him that would call and say, hey, we haven't heard from our employee. If he borrowed money from somebody regularly or called them every day, after a few days they might wonder, hey, this guy hasn't called to try to get something from me. He hasn't really said anything. I expected him. Maybe. If it was a woman like an Aunt Sharon or somebody that he pestered and you're the only one that'll talk to me, so I'll call you. And they haven't heard anything. And I have people like that I feel sorry for that I'll call. I really don't want to call because I know what the conversation is going to be like. Poor, pitiful me. I'm a victim. But I do it because I do care about them. How long would it take? Would they even bother to do an autopsy for this guy? Well, it looks like he had a stroke. There are no suspicious circumstances. None. There wouldn't even be any conspiracies with any... You told the Lorneography community that Lorne died of a heart attack or Lorne died, they found him in his trailer. I don't think anybody is going to go, oh, somebody got him. It's a suspicious death. I think somebody might have done something nefarious to him. So, after that, after his body is buried or dumped in a pauper's grave like the legend of Mozart goes, who is going to visit him? Who's going to even know where he's buried if nobody had a hand in it? Who? Us? Maybe there would be somebody like dead wrestlers. Miss Elizabeth is right across from where I work. I can walk there in like a minute and a half and I can go to her grave. I only knew it was there because it's kind of famous. You have famous people that are born over there, famous Marines. I think Chesty Puller, Marine Corps legend, he's even over there. But who's going to visit him? Some Lorneography community guys would go up there, I'm sure, take a picture next to the grave, leave a Bud Light on the headstone, leave baloney, leave things that we've heard him talk about on there. And it would be kind of funny. Somebody may even pee on his grave. I don't know. But I do know that there are no family members that are going to travel down there. Occasionally I'll travel down to my grandparents' grave. I told you I miss my grandmother so much. I didn't know my grandfather as much as her second husband. But I do remember him. But my grandmother lived for quite a while into my teens. I've had some guesses of when I think he's going to go. My first was if it was a heart attack, 57. If it was multiple strokes, 61. If Lorne outlives the people that I care about, I'm going to be pissed. Look at that shit show revolving around his death. Just his death. Even his death will be a bane to somebody's existence. An annoyance. There are local programs that they will have some kind, is anybody, they're notified if somebody's got no next of kin, and they'll go and have a graveside service for that person and pray for them to go to heaven or whatever. And maybe they have a group like that. I doubt it in Cornville, but maybe they do. Maybe a chaplain goes there and says, commit this man, he was a veteran, until they research his, military stint and go, I'm out. The way he climbed into fuel tanks. I could see Lorne, if that was the case, saying, well, it's the fucking military. I need to go to the VA because I was climbing in and cleaning fuel tanks and it was the fumes. Lorne, you smoked, you came out of the womb, shot out of your mom's anus, smoking a cigarette and drinking a Bud Light. People in future Lorneography communities may even hold a seance, do a Ouija board, turn the lights off and say, Cod, just to see if he appears. He will loom over the Lorneography community like the boogeyman. What he did, his legacy will live on because of how terrible he was, how terrible of a person. I wondered if some of the catfish people might actually feel sorry for him a little bit, but I don't think so. The shit they went through, what they had to endure, and the reason they were doing what they were doing. I got so much to lose. That was coming off probation. Now ask him, Lorne, what are the side effects of you dying, man? What's gonna happen, my man? Oh, I got so much to lose. You know, who's gonna take water to the homeless shelter? Who's gonna help fucking Uncle Clay? Who's gonna help the people I say I'm helping? I'm shocked he hasn't used, well, you know, Tony died and, oh, hang on, I can't even catch my breath, hang on. Tony died. I'm surprised he didn't say I've been taking care of Tony's widow, you know, delivering water to Tony's widow. He probably saw the amount of money that the Lorne, he probably found out somehow that the amount of money the Lorne community raised for his family, because I think someone did it. I think someone actually did it to help that family out. He probably thought that money should have gone to him. Tony's death was about him. Even though they call Tony, the guy just grosses me out. I just don't understand. I don't understand anything about Lorne, but I don't understand his thinking, and I wouldn't understand his answer as to why his death would be a detriment to society. You know, I wasn't really a predator. He doesn't think about death. He gets angry if you mention that he's getting older. I don't think so. I'm not getting older. No way. I mean, imagine being Lorne, being as young back then and thinking you look like Justin Timberlake and looking like you did when you get busted at the Sting. That's your prime, my man. In your prime, you looked like a hobgoblin. A hobgoblin with a heart condition. That's what you looked like then. How can you not look in the mirror at those pictures even of you in that tie and ask yourself, are these women really in love with me? Are they real? But he doesn't, because he's an egomaniac. If you asked him to write his own eulogy, it would be like the letter he had his mom read. Mine would read, Lorne Armstrong, alcoholic, angry, worthless pedo. And now we commit his body to rest. His would read, once there was a man named Lorne. He was a hero since he was born. He was a great man. He helped people out. He gave water to the homeless shelter. Fucking savior. I was catfished my whole life. I was a victim. But I was a good person. I'm a good person. I want them to play all of his calls, a marathon, or at least highlights at his funeral. And I want somebody to get something that just plays 24/7, all of his rage, everything, his alcoholism, so when people come to visit the cemetery, they can hear it. No one will mourn him. There will be no hiccup in society. No one's life will be worse off. He's a shit stain on life. Contributed nothing. Clogged up the system. Cost taxpayers money. So Lorne, no one will mourn you, and your legacy will be a rage-filled virgin, alcoholic, pedo. That's my video for today. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.
Hang on, I can't even catch my breath. Hang on.
Yeah, this